Good morning. Do you like coffee? Studies show that about half of all Americans regularly drink some sort of coffee. But I would bet that nowhere close to the amount that drinks coffee knows how it's actually made. And it's a fairly lengthy process, but it has about 3 stages, which are harvesting, drying, and roasting. Now, before coffee beans are ready to be taken from the coffee plant, they have to be grown first, of course. Now, coffee plants typically only grow between the tropics of Cancer and Capricorn at 23.5 degrees north and 23.5 degrees south of the equator, respectively. And it takes about 4 years for a plant to be able to create good coffee beans. And there are a couple methods and ways of taking coffee beans, which are by hand or by machine, which are pretty self-explanatory, and strip and selective picking, where the coffee beans are all taken at the same time and sent on to the drying stage, or selective picking, which is where the beans are taken only when they are ripe. So that is a much more gradual process that adds even more time to this already lengthy process. Now, drying is an extremely important step because it allows the coffee beans to reach 11% moisture, which is what is necessary for certain chemical processes that we'll get to later. There are a couple methods to drying coffee beans as well. There is the dry method and, funnily enough, the wet method. The dry method is pretty simple. You just lay out all the coffee beans in the sun, and they dry over the course of several days, and they are rotated every once in a while to make sure that they are evenly dried by the sun. In the wet method, the coffee beans are first separated and organized by size using several drums of water that rotate and filter out coffee beans based on size. After they are separated by size, they are taken out and then laid out and dried in the same method as the dry method. After the coffee beans have reached around 11% moisture, they are packaged up and sent out across the world. At this stage, they are called green coffee because they haven't yet been roasted. The process of roasting is the beans are put in a roasting machine, and the machine typically heats them to about 500. The machine itself rests at 550 degrees Fahrenheit, and the beans are cooked inside of that. Once the beans reach 400 degrees Fahrenheit, they undergo a process called pyrolysis, where the coffee beans break open from the inside and leak out coffeeol, which is a chemical substance that gives coffee beans their unique flavor and unique aroma. And this process also darkens the coffee beans from being green to light brown. And after the second pyrolysis, which occurs at 440 degrees Fahrenheit, the beans start to get their more normal coffee shade, we'll say. And so the roasting can continue past this point, or it can end a little bit before, depending on what type of coffee roast and quality is being made. But after the desired level of roast is reached, they are ground up into a fine powder and then sent out close to where the roasting occurs. This is because the coffee grounds can lose their flavor and substance quite quickly after being roasted if not properly transported. So they are moved quite quickly and sold quickly, so that way they can be made into coffee even faster. So, I hope I was able to teach you all a little bit about the process of coffee, from seed to harvest to drying to roasting. and to the eventual cup. So I thank you all for your time, and try and think about this speech next time you have your next cup of joe. Bye.